Welcome to part 2 of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jared Johnson. I'm joined by the Mighty Joe Yeager. Mighty Joe, moving on here. J. Will 2011 wants to know if Jack Anderson will make the all Big 12 freshman team this year. I don't see how he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a full-time starter, for every single game, offensive line, and for a darn good offense as well, and he's had a little breakdown here and there, but overall, I mean, really playing lights out ball. I mean, he's got the potential to be one of Tech's all-time best offensive linemen. I really believe that. There's no doubt in my mind, first team. And maybe even, freshman All-American is not out of the question either.
No, it's not, especially if Tech keeps winning,
Sure.
But in going back and looking at the Houston game, I was really concentrating on the running game in the second half, really watching the offensive line. And I can't remember if it was the Stockton run. I think it was Trey King's run. I believe he takes 2 guys out
right.
in that play. I believe he got actually pulled on the perimeter and took 2 guys out. So, and then of course, remember against Eastern Washington, like I said, I actually saw a linebacker turn and run from him. So yeah, Jack Anderson, as Kingsbury said, it has been as advertised. He's playing like a blue chip, 4-star, top 50 recruit, which, man, that sure is nice to say, isn't it? After, let's face it, several duds we've had.
Okay.
It's a great question from Cojones. We haven't had a question from Cojones in a while. Glad to have another one here. He wants to know, where does Tech match up best against Oklahoma State and vice versa? Where does Oklahoma State match up the best against Tech?
Yeah, I think Texas Tech's defensive line against Oklahoma State's offensive line is the best matchup for Texas Tech. Obviously, the well-chronicled injury situation at Oklahoma State's a factor in that. But then too, I mean, Texas Tech's defensive line, as both of us have talked about, could be the best unit on the entire team right now. And just, I mean, they're solid all the way across the front. Every starter is good. Every one of them is bringing something. They got that depth with Tony Jones and Eli Howard, who may be your biggest disruptors on the defense, along with Mike Thomas in the middle. And then you even bring in a guy like Quentin Yance in there occasionally to provide a little bit of a spark on interior pass rush as well. You got just a bunch of different pieces to work with there. I think they can cause some much needed havoc against Oklahoma State in the backfield, and particularly putting some heat on Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, and I'll say, as far as Oklahoma State's advantage, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Tech's secondary is coming together, but Oklahoma State's receiving core is very, very good. If not, I mean, really, them and Tech are 2 of the best in the entire country. Definitely in the Big 12, but you could make arguments for the country. It's the bell cow is James Washington. I mean, he is a lot like Kiki Kuti in that he's good for at least 1 or 2 explosive, like, runaway plays where nobody's within 30 yards from him and he's strolling into the end zone. It goes further than that. Mason Rudolph, I know he turned the ball over some, but he's last week. But he's been very sharp for the most part this season. He's a veteran. Just that whole group, the speed, the size, they have a little bit of everything. They're actually deeper than Tech. Against Tech's secondary, which, like I said, is much better. I think they're starting to figure things out, but Dorsey's probably going to be out. So I'm a little nervous. As both of them, it's like, both of these matches we're talking about, there's kind of injury hits to the teams we think could be taken advantage of. So that's going to be something like whoever steps up, whether it be Oklahoma State's offensive line or Texas Tech secondary, could really tell the tale of the game and who wins. So I'll be really anxious to see how both those matchups play out. Afro's 53, I'm going to paraphrase his question here, but bottom line is he likes Dante Thompson. He likes his size. He likes the possibility of him being a chain-moving tight end, and is curious why Tech doesn't utilize him in that capacity more than they do. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I mean, part of it is just the fact that you got so many weapons on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only one ball to go around, and you got, if you're targeting Dante Thompson, that means you're not targeting somebody like a Kuti or, I don't know, a Stockton coming out of the backfield, or a Cantrell, or just on down the line. You can keep on naming people. So there's that part of it. I think also Tech isn't running as many plays as they have in the past. I think average right now is in the upper 70s. In the past they were running in the upper 80s. So that's less opportunities there in terms of overall plays. And then basically the spread offense, with rare exceptions, just doesn't utilize players like fullback and tight end too much. Although with Kingsbury, he does it more than Mike Leach did by a long shot. but still, it's just not going to be your primary asset on offense, and you're just going to pick your spots here and there. But that said, I fully expect Dante Thompson at some point. He was targeted once against Houston, and I think it was an incomplete pass. But eventually, he's going to start catching the ball a little bit. But he's just not going to be a huge factor.
Well, they are utilizing him in the running game. Right. Now they're not utilizing him as a receiving target, and like the way you were talking about, Afros. But for example, the Cantrell touchdown run, who was lead blocking for him on that end around? It was Dante Thompson. The Trey King run, Dante Thompson was over on that side and was one of the lead blockers for him on that long 70-yard run, 70 whatever, I can't remember, the very long run. So Thompson is being utilized, and he's being utilized as as a Y, as a kind of the tight end in this offense, just not as a receiver, because like you said, they have so many options. I mean, I think I like the way Kingsbury's using them to this point. All right, Juicebox wants to know how we grade the new coaching hires 3 games into the season. Let's start with Jaluk. What do you think about Jaluk?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, we went into this season with some real, questions about what they had back there and how are they going to be able to utilize it. I think Stockton has outperformed expectations for the most part, and then you're getting contributions from some other guys as well. Nisby has made his mark occasionally. Mason Reed, Trey King came in against Houston and played very big. So they're finding ways, getting all these guys involved, and I think it's slowly developing with those running backs, and I'm beginning to like what I see. So I give him a pretty high grade, maybe something like an A-.
Yeah, I mean, I would say B+, just grading him grading hard, to be honest, because he's getting a lot out of those guys. Like you said, I think people are overachieving. Like, I was not expecting anything near this from Trey King. And then Stockton, yeah, I mean, I was worried he was even going to be able to play at all with some of his injury concerns. So, I mean, yes, Jaluk's done a great job. Now, Brandon Jones of the offensive line, who I've come to start calling Mr. Miyagi because of the mythical status he's taken on around the football facility. What's your grade on him?
Yeah, A- as well. I think Jaluk and Jones, you kind of have to think of those two guys together because they're working in tandem, particularly with the ground game. Obviously, and Kingsbury has talked about how those guys have really helped come up with creative stuff in the ground game, and they're constantly adding new stuff in, and they're going to continue to do that throughout the season. So give them credit for that. And I think pass protection hasn't been spectacular, but it's been good enough. And you're playing against so far some couple of very, very good defensive lines, better than what you're going to see out of Oklahoma State. You're going to give up when you throw the ball as often as Tech does. There's going to be a sack from time to time. Overall, you can't complain about that.
Yeah, and he's dealing with a young group. You don't have veterans there. You have young guys who most have made, started for a season. So I think he's done a great job. Once again, I'm going to say A. So I'm a little bit under, but a little bit over. You're the even keel. We're basically averaging an A-. Right. So, and then that leaves Terence Jamison. Where are you at with him? We already said we think the defensive line has gone from maybe the biggest liability in years past to maybe the strength of the team, or I guess it has been the strength of the team through 3 games, the most consistent position group. So safe to say pretty high with Terence Jamison.
You know where I'm going, A+, man, A+. I never gave anybody an A+ in all my time as a teaching assistant at the University of Missouri, by the way. But I'm giving Terence Jamison an A+. I mean, God, dog. This was a guy, when he was hired, I think it's safe to say that nobody was particularly inspired by the hire because he was kind of an unknown quantity. Yeah, right. And he was like, well, was this kind of maybe a desperation move or something? Because what else is out there? I hate to say it, I'm sorry, but that's kind of the way I think probably people looked at it a little bit. But man, what a shocker. Whatever he's doing with that defensive line, it's working because he's got those guys playing. Seems to have a great rotation, knows when to plug people in, utilizing all these guys, these different pieces that he has, and he has a bunch of them. And you just look at the development of those 2 interior guys, and what they're doing. And I think you're seeing some stuff going on with twists and stunts. This is a little bit interesting. Man, just nothing but good things to say, really.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go A+. They've done an excellent job against the run. They haven't just slowed down, but they've stopped opposing teams' running games, which consistently, which sounded impossible just a couple months ago. And then they are applying more pressure than I thought they were going to be capable of. And it's not just one or two guys, and it's not just on the outside, or it's not just when they're bringing a lot of guys. They're consistently, basically everybody's making plays right now along that defensive front, no matter who they throw in there. And I'm really happy to say that. I'm just blown away, happy to say that. And I've heard good things from a lot of the players about Terence Jamison and continue to, and I think we're seeing that really play out in the season. All right, we're to our weekly food question. This one is from the Rawls Land Man. He wants to know what's the best food spread we've ever had as a member of the media at a sporting event. Mighty Joe, I think this may be the same one to answer as last week. Well, what's the best food spread you've ever had?
Well, I mean, I could go biscuits and gravy, but just in the interest of variety, let me just say that, anytime I see damn good fried chicken laid out, and you got to give it up to Texas Tech's. I think it's top tier. Their catering group, or they prepare stuff all over campus. And I think they're the ones that do it at the games. Man, their fried chicken.
That was good. You talking about 2 weeks ago?
Sure. But I mean, they've made it before in the previous seasons, and it's always been good. So, I mean, whenever I see that, my eyes light up. And I'm like, all right, the game can take a back seat until I chow down on this fried chicken, all right? Man, I just love me some fried chicken, and they make some good fried chicken here.
And 2 weeks ago, Joe got some. We were sitting there in the press box, and I was like, I'm going to wait for halftime, because at halftime they do cheeseburgers and hot dogs, like grilled cheeseburgers and hot dogs. I was like, I'm going to wait for halftime, get a couple hot dogs, and he was macking it. I think he got seconds. And I held out the first trip, and you got seconds. I was like, that's it. I gotta go get me some of that fried chicken, and I partake. That was delicious. For me though, I gotta go Cowboys.
Figured.
Not because it just
beer.
Yes, that's kind of like the dessert that puts it over the top. Now, don't get me wrong. They do like an amazing spread as far as food. They do different kinds of fish, fried chicken themselves. That's always like, mwah. And then at halftime, they do the same thing, kind of like hot dogs and cheeseburgers and stuff like that. All kinds of cookies and dessert. But then they open up free taps right after the game's over. So I was like always the first one. I'd hustle down to the locker room. They do the opposing team notebooks, and I'd go interview all the players. Like, okay, hurry up, because there's free beer up there. And those puppies, some of those would get. Let's just floated pretty soon. Let's be honest. I'm not going to name any names of some of the Dallas media, but yeah, they partake in the free beer, and I was usually one of the first couple people to get up there and enjoy that. So it's hard to beat free beer on top of everything else they offered. So that's where I'm at with that. Mighty Joe, great stuff from you as always. Thank y'all for watching, and until next time.